what's going on, guys? It's Green Zero here with my answers video to the Q&A I made. I've quickly whipped up the response for 20 of the questions here on that video, so here we go. I mean, of course I can't answer everyone's because there's a ton, but I'm just going to try to answer as many as possible. Again, this is going to be very heavily opinionated based on my experience and my knowledge and things like that of the community, and have playing since day one. So here we go. We're going to answer 20 questions now for you, and there's going to be some future videos as well in regards to this one here, so sit back and enjoy. Got some first person view footage coming up for you as well, so here come the answers to your questions. Okay guys, the first question comes from Nindella, who says, what's your current opinion on the new CNC, and will you be playing the beta and VODing in the future? Oh, and will you have done a dual commentary with VOD with Master Leaf yet? Haha. Well, first things first, the new CNC, I have mentioned I will be casting it even if it's not good. How long I'll be casting for if it's not good is a question, but I'll definitely be getting some video footage of that one there, and I'm really hoping it can take over Kane's Wrath as my new casting. I won't entirely abandon Kane's Wrath until it's properly taken over though. We'll have to see how it goes. Honestly, I have no idea, but I am planning to try to bring some footage there. And the second part of the question there, will I VOD with Master Leaf? Well, he's been hitting me up on Skype for a long time, trying to get me to do a dual cast with him. It's probably just going to be 20 minutes of us sledging each other. I've never actually spoken to him in person. There's been a lot of smack, especially since the Ladder Wars, where he got crushed. Yes, Ladder Wars, not that big of an issue, but the fact that I managed to stop him from winning his first one was awesome, and he's pretty mad about that. But VOD, can't rule it out, but it depends whether or not me and Master Leaf can get along in the person. Anyway, next question. Our next question comes from Scarface211, who says, why does nobody build the tier 3 heavy units like mammoths, tripods, avatars, and also will fully upgraded Scorpion with dozer blades and lasers beat an unupgraded Predator tank? Well, part 2 of the question first. A fully upgraded Scorpion tank will not beat an unupgraded Predator tank. It's just not going to happen. But basically the Scorpion tank's a lot cheaper, so if they're fully upgraded and you've got a lot more than them, well then you could probably crush a Predator army, but 1v1, the Predator tank will still come out on top there. And first part of the question, of course, nobody really builds mammoth tanks because the Marv is just so powerful in regards to its cost effectiveness and the ability to put rail weapons inside it without having the $4,000 rail weapon upgrade. And plus mammoth tanks are really slow and clumsy, so they're really hard to deploy. Really only on flat maps they'll work, and of course with enemy epic units out there which are way more cost effective, you're going to see them building those. Rail preds, you'll still see those, but tripods, you see Scrin build a lot of tripods. Just about every game when they go into the late game, they'll build tripods. They are very common. You just don't see as many Scrin games around. Avatars, again, more common than the mammoth tank, but they don't build too many of them because, again, I mean, they're 2200, but I mean, you've got to put another laser on them to make them powerful. They can't shoot and move either, and they're not particularly good, so they're just a very, very heavily armored unit for the Nod faction, who sometimes mix them in with infantry. But other than that, again, the Redeemer is just so much more cost effective than avatars. If you didn't have epic units in the game, though, you'd see a ton more mammoths and avatars, I can tell you that. Tripod's not a problem. Mammoth tanks, definitely don't see them in avatars every now and then when the occasion calls for them. Next question comes from Nick Knack, 123456789, who says, what are the reasons you know of that desync the game, and why is that everyone thinks Scrin is so overpowered? Things that desync the game, quad turrets can do it because it's bugged, support combat airfields can do it because, again, they're bugged as well. So those things are the main ones that desync the game. Essentially, if you don't build those, the chance of desyncing the game is like 0.01%. It just doesn't happen unless you do something like that, or unless you got like a big multiplayer game where there's some noobs in there that will just be alt-tabbing to no end trying to break it or something like that. But the game is reasonably stable for most part of it, except for those bugged units, which CGF has of course fixed in the 1.02 plus. And the second part, why do you think that Scrin is so overpowered? Because Scrin doesn't have as many units as the other factions, so in order to compensate for the lack of creativity on EA's part, they made every one of the Scrin units much more versatile. If you look at things like the Shardwalker, tanks a lot of rocket damage, kills infantry really well, and slams aircraft. It does those things really well. It's very cheap and cost effective, so the Scrin units can do a lot more. They're a lot better at it, and they don't need as many unit combinations. Also, to make up for the lack of units, they gave them a lot more combat support powers which guarantee them success. They've got the stasis, they've got the phase, they've got things like wormhole, they've got a few others as well. Their buzzer swarm as well, they can just call in anything they need when they need it. So it's very situational. Basically, if they don't bring something along to the battle, they can just click and they have it. and they can just split you up and separate you. So they don't have as many units. They have a lot of one-click support powers, not like the nod one-clicks where they're just like destroy your whole economy, but a lot of combat support powers which they can just click and get success out of those. So Scrin is generally quite powerful. I wouldn't say they're overpowered. The main reason why they're overpowered is because you can hex lane really hard with them, like really essentially unstoppable by a lot of players. And that's I don't think you should be able to teleport an epic unit. That would definitely even things out a little bit there, but that's why people don't tend to play Scrin as much, because if you're playing Scrin, you're really just doing it to try to lane with the Hexapod. Of course, there are a lot of valid tactics that you can do without it, and they are still a good faction for the series, I think, but they just needed a little bit more assistance, especially with their infantry, because you don't see them build a lot of infantry that often. So they definitely could have had a few more units and spread their versatility out, less combat support powers, and no more epic laning. But anyway, that's why a lot of people don't like the Scrin faction. Next question comes from Tupac and Hennessy 87, who says, do you think that EA will ever make a proper sequel to any of the CNC series, like able to compete with SC2 in the RTS scene? He would really like to see the two big guns up there again. To be honest, I don't think CNC ever competed with StarCraft. There's never been the support that I mean, Command & Conquer's never experienced what StarCraft has experienced. I mean, it's been big in the RTS world. Obviously, it kind of shaped or molded the RTS scene in the fact that it was around first after, well, essentially after June 2, which June 2 was made by the same people that made the Command & Conquer series. It was around before StarCraft, but of course StarCraft it was huge. You really can't fault Blizzard on that one. They supported the game for like, they still support it or something like that, but yeah, over like 15 years of people still playing it and things like that. Command & Conquer can never compete with that. I think they need to remain separate in the RTS franchise, because StarCraft plays amazingly different to what Command & Conquer does, and I think they need to stay that way separate from one another, because Command & Conquer would never be able to compete in the terms of popularity, tournaments, cash prizes, things like that. I mean, they have entire leagues dedicated to this in South Korea, and Command & Conquer gets what? You might see it at Cyber Games, World Cyber Games or something like that once or twice, and you never really hear much from it. But it doesn't mean that Command & Conquer doesn't have a huge following, because it does have a huge following. It just doesn't have the kind of mindset that the StarCraft 2 does. But I still think that EA should just make a game. They should just not abandon it. They should just support it for a very long period of time and see how they go with that. They might find it's quite successful. And with the new Generals game and so much factions coming out in it, I mean, there's a lot of room a lot of time to make that game good. So we'll have to wait and see. They don't have a good track record. Hopefully the new CNC game will be quite good. Okay, next question comes from Alexander Me, who says basically, how would you describe your playstyle and what makes the style of play cheesy or cheap in your opinion? My playstyle, I like to keep it very unpredictable. That's why I can do a range of strategies. I really like it when people choose maps that people don't play on a lot, because I've got so much strategies and tactics. A lot of people don't like it. They don't like playing on maps they haven't played on before because they don't know what works. But yeah, essentially I can do anything. Well, I like to think I can do anything pretty much, if it's air, ground, rushing, things like that. I don't prefer to rush that much. I do have some strong rushes, but I prefer to actually at least have the game go to the mid game, because it's more fun. I mean, rushing, sometimes you're going to basically like, I got to win in the first few minutes or it's game over. Yeah, I can do that sometimes, just fine, but most of the time, if I rush, I don't intend to kill them. I just intend to cause them enough damage to give myself an edge in the mid to late game so I can win then, because that's when I prefer to win. I'm not saying I'm just doing that because I don't want to make the game end. I want to make the game end if it's possible, but I don't expect some of my rushes to actually kill them, just to hurt them enough to give me an advantage throughout the game. And basically, yeah, love Firehawks, love doing the sneaky things around the back there. I got a lot of favourite units. I actually like Shadows now. I'm playing GDI more. Of course, Steel Talon's very powerful faction in the multiplayer, of course. Once they get going, not in 1v1, they tend to take too long to get to the stage where they're powerful. But yeah, I like my playstyle. A lot of people have trouble against me because yeah, I pretty much don't do the same thing very often. I just keep shaking it up. Try to play unpredictable. What makes a style of play cheesy or cheap in your opinion? If it's cheesy, if you mass a lot of units, if you don't know what cheese means, it means you mass a lot of units really quickly of the same type, like double, triple, quad Orca Airfield and or Storm Rider, something that's going to be able to build reasonably quickly that you can surprise the enemy with, that they don't have time to react. You know, losing 6 harvesters in a matter of seconds to double Orca Airfield can really, it might not win the game at that particular point in time, but it will be the point in the game where you gain the edge that you need to finish them off. And basically, I don't mind cheese. I mean, if the other player doesn't see it coming, good for you for keeping their intelligence, you know, down pat or whatever, like that. You know, hiding what you're really doing. That's what you should be doing. You should not be letting them scout you so they can't see what you're doing, so you can hit them with cheese. You know, I don't mind cheese. You should really have to scout your opponents, see what they're doing. Cheap gameplay mostly comes down to epic units and one-clicks. Nod, way too many one-clicks in the end game. They just, if they fail at harassment all game, they can literally make up for it by knocking you completely out of the game with 3 mouse clicks. Or not even that, sometimes just 1. And their Redeemer cloak camp is a little bit lame as well. Scrin, obviously the worst offenders there. Essentially the main thing that makes them cheap is the fact that they can just inevitably milk their Hex to heroic every single game. There's very little you can do about it, especially with their combat support powers that I was talking about before. They can get themselves out of pretty much any bind. You pretty much have to get them into that bind like 3 to 5 times in a game before you can actually have a chance at killing them. But anyway, that's a pretty cool question. Let's see what's next. Okay, time for the next question, and we have one from Jack Phillips, who says, where did the name Green Zero come from? Well, when I was in high school and I was looking to move out to the city, I was going to move in with my brother, and he had, of course, internet connection. At my parents' house, we only had dial-up at that stage, because that was back in the day, back in 2005, which I guess isn't that long ago. But anyway, when I moved out of home, basically, yeah, I thought, hey, I'm going to play some online games. I need a gamer name. What should I have? Let's make it something that's just going to stay the same always. And I just was thinking, what should I make it? What should I base it on? And at that point in time, I've been a really big fan of the Pacific War well, not a fan, but a historian kind of thing of the Pacific War. I've been really into aircraft and specifically the carriers and ship-on-ship combat and air-on-ship combat and things like that there. I've been reading books, watching films, watching documentaries, reading magazines, playing games, and basically big fan of the IL Sturmovik series, even though I only played the Pacific Fighters variant of that. Again, strictly Pacific. Europe, yeah, I'm more interested in the Pacific and island hopping campaign, aircraft carriers, things like that. And basically my favourite aircraft, which I got from IL-2, the Pacific Fighters expansion, was the Zero, the Mitsubishi A6M5, or 221, or whatever, the one that they have there. And basically my favourite model was the 5, and its colour scheme was green. And I was just like, hey, Green Zero, sounds reasonably good, doesn't sound too full of myself or anything like that, no one will really know. So that's the thing, it's the colour scheme of a plane from World War II. You can look it up, it's the A6M5 Zero. Of course, Mitsubishi made cars now, not planes. But of course, that's where my name came from. I just kept it the same all along, even though I'm not that much into that era anymore, don't play as many games. But there you go, bit of history. Okay, the next question comes from the Guaspari or something like that. Have you ever checked out the players, the Xbox 360 version of Kane's Wrath? Well, to be honest, it's radically different. It uses 1.0 economy and 1.0 unit stats, and it's designed, its interface is completely different. And of course, it just plays out different. It has a unit cap as well, I think. I've seen VODs of it, but I've never played it. To be honest, the Xbox 360 players, they have fun playing their game. No one really bothers them too much. Some of them come onto the PC scene. I know that one particular one, Flame Dreamin', has actually given them a terrible name, and the community of the Xbox 360 should not be based off that one player, okay, because he did some terrible things. He just, oh man, like seriously, I'm not going to go into it, but Flame Dreamer made a real mess of things, and he's not a poster child for the Xbox 360 scene at all. But yeah, Xbox 360 players having fun playing their game. It seems good enough, so yeah, why not? Okay, next question comes from Wizzy Buraskenny. I'm not even going to try to attempt that again. Why does no Reaper 17 get any limelight? I mean, obviously because people don't really play it, but why? What is the issue with the race? And you find the same about Steel Talons as well. It's rather hard to find a Steel Talon Reaper 17 gameplay. And do you have a unit that you literally never use or find broken? Love your VODs, man. Well, Reaper 17 do get played quite a lot. In fact, as getting dealt with Scrin, I prefer to get dealt with Reaper 17 because they're my favourite Scrin faction to use, because I'm not very good at Traveler or Vanilla Scrin, but if I get Reaper, I'm like, hey, I'm not too bad at Reaper. They're very powerful on the ground. You just don't see them VODed that much. Okay, it's just that you don't have as many good games with them in it because they are a very heavy steamrolling faction. So they're definitely out there, but you just don't see them that often. I mean, you just don't see them getting VODed that often. Steel Talons, you don't see them much at all because obviously they got some 1.02 issues, and they're not that strong in a 1v1. They're only stronger in higher or 2v2s, 3v3, 3-for-alls, where they can get to that stage where they got their mammoth tanks, they got their juggernauts, or not the juggernauts, behemoths, when they're really powerful. And do you have any unit that you literally never use and or find broken? To be honest, no. I pretty much use, I've used everything at some point in time. Never found something completely useless. I mean, Ravagers for the Scrin faction are a little bit bugged and they'll never build them. They might have a little bit of an issue with Shock Troopers except for Trav because they're really fast. But yeah, Nod, they probably don't build their commando really at all that much. I mean, it can serve a purpose sometimes with Reckoners. Black can get 2 heroic ones, which is pretty cool. You don't really see that often. For GDI, it's probably going to have to be the Rig. Again, it can be used for a rush or mobile repairs, which you do see very rarely. But again, there's no one unit that doesn't really have it was completely, utterly useless. I guess except for maybe the first one, the Ravager there, because it isn't that great in 1.02. It's pretty bugged as well. But yeah, anyway, good selection of units all around. That's a pretty good question. Next question comes from Igla Major. Why does everyone hate Bike Rush zones aside from Mothership and one clicks? Well, we are going to name names in this video. I said that one of my other videos way back, but Bike Rush doesn't really use Mothership, but he does use one clicks, and a lot of people don't like him because he has a report page like a mile long for cheats and accusations and a lot of exploiting and stuff like that, and I guess he doesn't do it so much anymore. Especially since he streams himself a lot, but yeah, because of all these past actions as being a bit of a hacker like that, and a lot of people thought he used map hacks for a while because he used to dance with like flame tanks and things which were in his fog, so people were wondering how he could actually know the position of half the units on the map and things like that. But anyway, I don't hate Bike Rush, I just dislike him for some of his past actions here. He's not particularly exciting to watch because he does all in pretty much every single game, so he either wins or loses the game in the first few minutes, so a lot of people don't really like to play him because of that, because it's just like, all I'm going to do is just like camp, you know, for a few minutes until he wears himself out. But there you go, he doesn't really play Kane's Wrath that much anymore. He is kind of active, he keeps coming back to it, but he's got a lot of other games on his plate, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, time for the next question, which comes from ZGTRman58. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be said fast or what, but you asked about support powers in the video, and you feel that support powers should do just that: support the ground force, not be an end-all one-click kill your base weapon. It should only soften the base and not destroy it. Way too many Nod players rely on one-clicks, and support powers should be nerfed a bit. Just your opinion? And why'd you leave game replays so long? Of course, I'll answer the last one at the end of the video. But basically, yeah, support powers should do that. They should support. They should be like, hey, I can use this power. It's not going to guarantee me success, but it's going to support my ground troops. Like GDI are a clear example. They get shockwave artillery and orbital strike. The orbital strike doesn't guarantee anything. It's sporadic and random, and it's over duration. It just pumps lead downrange out of the sky, or projectiles or things like that, which can soften up a base. It's by no means going to destroy that much. You know, heavy armor is going to tank most of it, but yeah, it's completely random. It's over a period of time, and of course it supports your attack army. Your attack army's there, you're attacking the base head, and it's just like pummeling it from above. And basically shockwave as well, you can hear it coming. It's a duration attack again. Doesn't do a lot of damage to vehicles, okay, because it's mostly EMP shells, but it can disable them, allowing you to get into an advantaged position to destroy those vehicles. But you've got to use it at the appropriate time, those support powers. Nod, again, the ability to just, hey, look, there's an economy, let's just mouse click on it and the whole thing is gone. You know, those support powers, they destroy like 20 times their value sometimes. I mean, you got to remember the amount of money it costs to build refineries and harvesters, and then the time lost with harvesting as well. So like I said, you can do like 10 times as much damage with a one click as you can, and it's just so much easier. That's why they rely on it. Again, it shouldn't be a be all end all. Again, Scrin have a lot of combat support powers, which basically when they're in combat, guarantee success. It's like, hey, I don't want to lose these units. Phase, guarantee success. Hey, I don't want to take on this whole army at the same time. Stasses half of it out, guarantee success. Hey, I didn't bring any anti-infantry. I can just click and buzzers come in, guarantee success. It's just, yeah, it doesn't support the ground army. It's just giving them like these one-ups like straight away. And it really, yeah, it's totally agreeable. If they bring these in generals too, which I wouldn't mind if they completely remove them, they need to have support powers which don't guarantee success. They should be like, alright, they're going to assist the units you've already built in a microing. It's not just going to be the be-all, end-all. Okay, that's a very good question. I really hope they attend that in the next Command and Conquer, instead of just making, hey, look, let's make these huge, ridiculous base-killing support powers which you don't have any thought whatsoever. But yeah, let's see how that one goes. Okay, next question comes from DJ Storm, who says, who do you think is currently the best Kane's Wrath player? That's kind of a moot point because it's not just my opinion, it's the opinion of the entire community. It's essentially Technique, and people are like, oh, here come the Technique fanboys, and well, basically, I mean, Technique doesn't claim any credit anyway. He'll never say anything like that, never claim any credit. He just rocks up, lets his actions speak for himself. I mean, this is a guy that won Ladder Season 3 in Kane's Wrath and Red Alert 3 at the same time. Like, seriously, he's won more game replays, tournaments, than the next 3 or 4 top players all combined. This guy is, yeah, he's been unstoppable at several occasions throughout Kane's Wrath. There's really no competition who is the best Kane's Wrath player. It's technique. If you think it's someone else, then you really haven't been playing Kane's Wrath, or you don't know. He's been there since the start, so he's been playing during the most difficult times of Kane's Wrath when there's the most pros available, and he still comes out on top. So technique, it's definitely the best Kane's Wrath player of all time. Also props for him for actually staying on the longest. He really is, in my opinion, the only expert that remained throughout the entire period, and you still see him nowadays as well, of course. But yeah, a lot of good other experts out there, but technique, he is always going to be number one. Okay, next question comes from Phoenix Sniping, which of course is Stephen Nashington, who says, when and how did you come up with my nickname Nashington? And what's your opinion on COD? This is not a video about COD, Nashington. And anyway, when Steve Nash rocked up, he was basically called Steve Nash 13, so hence he slowly got called Stephen, then Stephen Nashington, and we thought it was his real name for a while. And yeah, Steve Nashington, Nashington. That's pretty much how it happened. He pretty much rose to fame within the period of a month, climbing through the ranks, becoming a really, really good player. And then as soon as he got to the point where he was really with one of the pros, he kind of just disappeared and dropped off the face of the earth. And he was back down into a mid-level, and he could never recover, which was really sad, which is why sometimes we refer to other people that do that as having pulled a Nashington. Not sledging Steve Nash, because I like Steve Nash. I play with him a lot. He was good. You know, I just wish he didn't. I think he got into the non-play style where he just got to the camp and click stage, and he just sacrificed all of his micro and things like that. Again, if Nashington's watching this, is like, that is not what happened, Green Zero. I mean, just tell us what happened, because you used to be really good, man, and then you just kind of dropped off. And I played you in a tournament a few weeks ago, and you just crumbled, man. It's like, yeah, I reckon if you put a little bit more time into the game and stop relying on some of the cheaper aspects of NOD, which I've seen a lot of people do, but there you go, Nashington. And COD, well, I play Battlefield, so I'm happy playing Battlefield. COD fans, happy playing COD. But yeah, they tend to fight each other a bit more. But that's enough of that. Okay, next question comes from Interface, who says, why do you always say sup sup yo-yo when mentioning Bravo 3, and who do you think will be the next person to get an expert badge, or do you think there isn't anyone at that level out there? So basically, I say sup a lot, Bravo says yo a lot, so it ended up being us repeating ourselves a few times. So sup sup and yo yo. That's why I say sup sup, he says yo yo, and then we just started saying it a lot. So it's just one of those kind of synchronicity things that happens when you see a certain player. It's just one of those things when you play a lot of Kane's Wrath that you get with certain players like that. But when do you think, well, then the expert badge program honestly should have been shut down in 2010. That's the last point when we had the most amount of pros still playing the game. Everything after that, it just kind of disappeared. I mean, Eclipse should have got his in 2010. Okay, they didn't give it till like 2012 after he absolutely slammed the top 10 of 2011, which I'm like, I don't know why they didn't give him an expert badge sooner. He should have got it in 2010. They should have shut the program down, because at the moment the program is just a laughing stock, because they, if I may quote Tuma, they hand them out like prizes you find at the bottom of a packet of cereal. It really doesn't mean anything, to the point where the community mocks everyone with an expert badge. And you see replays just piled with like, give that man an expert badge, or expert badges for everybody. Oh, it's just, they just destroyed it, and it's all over. And it was mainly the fault of one particular admin who's going to get slammed in either this video or a later one. But yeah, expert badge program shut down in 2010. No more people after that. A lot of the pros actually giving back their expert badges, so that's not good at all. Okay, next question is more of a three-part, because we had someone here say, Ellis, Rogan, how come you and Master Leaf don't like each other? Vixen Frogel says, please answer this one. And Karma Jet Chahal is because Master Chief uses lame strats using his hexapod and teleporting when it's low health. Got it in one. That's right. So I don't hate Master Chief. I just dislike him because he will suicide MCD Prodigy Conyard cap a lot, which basically in retrospect means that he uses his Prodigy to capture your Conyard and sell it, thereby crippling you in certain parts of the game. And yeah, to just get a hexapod, and just as soon as he's about to lose it, just teleports it away, and he'll just do that. It just keeps doing it until he gets it heroic and he wins the game. So that's why I don't like him, because he pretty much just does that. I mean, it's pretty cheap, it's incredibly difficult to stop, and remember, he's got all the screen support powers to back him up, so if he makes a mistake, he needs to make like 5 in a row before I can capitalize on that. And of course, being GDI, you need to have like 10 different unit counters in force, so it just doesn't happen. So Master Chief's pretty lame, and he likes to rub it in a bit as well, so it's like he knows he's lame, but he can pass it off as skill sometimes. That's what he says. I'm just like, no, give him GDR, not a Zocom, and slam him any day of the week. Okay, next question comes from Impulsive Aim, who says, have you played other CNC games on a competitive level? Well, I've definitely played almost all the other CNC games, but on a competitive level, I did play 0 Hour a lot. That was really because once I left school and moved out, that was the game that was kind of out. It had already been out for a few years, so there was a ton of people playing it, and that's the one I got into first. I started playing about 6 months before Tib Wars came out. Didn't actually buy Tib Wars until a few months after that came out either. But basically with 0 Hour, yeah, for 6 months I probably racked up about 2,000 games. I was just crazy for it. First year of uni, so I wasn't really doing too much. But yeah, the first 0 Hour, loved Laser Gen. Laser Gen was my Force faction. And of course Stealth Gen was my, eventually became one of my favorite and best factions. I just loved the ability, the fact that you could cloak everything they had, and they were just so deceitful faction. And I mean, they weren't particularly powerful in the fact they didn't have any tanks, but the hit and run and the way you could ambush players as Stealth, I had some crazy strats off the chain, and I just became unbeatable. I think my longest win streak was about 80 games in a row, and that was just on the quick match as well. I just kept quick matching and just getting, and during that 80 game period, some of my best games I've ever played was recorded there. A lot of replays, great fun, loved the game. 0 Hour was awesome. That's why I'm looking forward to the new Generals. Okay, next question comes from Ruben Grown-Wound, or whatever that is. How can you win 70% of all the games you played, and any game I see with you in it VODed, you lose? And yeah, why don't you and Master Leaf like each other? Obviously, we already answered that one there, but basically, yeah, I've got a win ratio of like 72% or something like that. And I mean, you'll find that on the replay system, I don't really upload replays really at all. Like maybe every now and then when I get a really epic one, I'll upload it, but people tend to upload what they win. So when people win, they'll upload a replay, and because I don't upload a lot of my replays, most of the replays you see with me in it are uploaded by other people, and of course the other people will win the game. That's why you see most of those games VODed, because other commentators will pick them out and they'll be like, hey look, it's got Green Zero in it, he's pretty cool, and it's got such and such in it, he's pretty cool as well. And I'll VOD it and I'll lose. So basically that's just how it rolls. Yeah, 70% of the games, if you see me online and watch me, you'll see me win, or live up to the 70% hopefully, and not get smashed. But yeah, that's pretty much why the replay system, that's how it functions. People upload wins, not losses, and I do that too, so it's pretty much, yeah, everyone's in the same boat. Next question comes from Primal Shards, who says, how much does a Predator tank cost? It's $1,100. Stop asking me stupid questions. Next question. Okay, next question, which is from Interphase. Again, how did you sneak back in here, Interphase? You got another one. Would you ever consider doing a dual commentary with CNC Cybert? I think you two are the best, most entertaining commentators, and would love to see a collaboration. Well, yeah, maybe I'd definitely co-commentate with Cybert. Done a lot with other commentators, but yeah, it's just it's time zone, which probably holds us back. Of course, the organisation for that one as well. Pretty busy as well. So yeah, that's basically, I mean, it might happen. I've got him on Skype now, so we'll see how it goes. Definitely would love to do a dual cast. Of course, he does all the other Command & Conquer games that are current as well, not just Kane's Wrath, of course. Head on over to his channel, of course, it's on a link on my channel. So yeah, maybe we'll do a dual cast, we'll see how that one goes. Okay, next question comes from Blue Hawk Pictures, who says, why don't people use Fanatics? They can do a serious amount of damage if brought behind enemy lines. Well, people don't use Fanatics because they're $800 and they kill themselves for starters. People use them when they're in a bind, especially Nod v Nod, where they're trying to Scorp spam, but someone's winning the Scorp spam battle, so they quickly pump out some Fanatics. Or if they're getting overwhelmed and they only have infantry to rely on, they might decide to quickly pump out some Fanatics because they can't get crushed. But essentially, you just don't see them that much. Again, they kill themselves. And they're not particularly good. They can get killed pretty quickly by anti-infantry, and of course if you can get them into a field of harvesters, I guess you could do some damage, but again there's just better ways of doing it. Bikes, of course, which cost even less, and they can just keep killing harvesters and then just kill one. But yeah, Fanatics definitely underused, but they do have a purpose in the game. Really just panic weapons you pull out to try to hold off attack where you've only got infantry. Okay, and the final question for the video is going to be from QL Stanza, who says, why don't any players put triple rock in the Reckoners and deploy it next to the War Factory? It gets repairs and it gets pretty tough to get past. Well, you're right, they're almost impossible to remove in the early to mid game if they're by a War Factory, because they can repair so fast, they've got so much armor, and triple rockets can rank pretty quickly if they're not getting hit in return. We do see it every now and then, especially with Reckoner tactics where maybe their Reckoner attack has failed, or something, or they get caught before they can implement it, they might decide to drop one there. We have seen several games where they do drop a Reckoner next to a War Factory. It becomes impossible to move, and it causes the other player to end up retreating and falling back there. You don't see it that much because, of course, it's something they're not going to purposely build that early in the game unless they're doing some kind of rush for it, but it does come in handy. And it does has saved a lot of players. We've seen it in a lot of rush replays as well, so it's quite good. And yeah. So there you go, guys. I managed to answer 20 of your questions out of there. So 20 out of the 150 comments that were left, although not all of them were questions, and some of them were reasonably like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that question. But anyway, I'll probably bring some more answer videos for you, and of course I'll talk generally in my VODs as well. And of course I will have to make another video explaining why I left game replays, but we'll have to hold that one off for now. So I'm going to give those, that one particular admin on gamereplays.org a little bit of time to breathe in regards to that one there. So I hope you'll enjoy this video. Really enjoyed making it, answering your questions. Don't forget to stop asking questions. Anyway, I'm Green Zero, and I'll see you all next time.
Acknowledged. Attack vector engaged. Squad ready.
Our base is under
Keep your
attack.
weapon ready. Get them in your sights. Ground support. Dig in. Let's get working.
New construction options. Building. On hold. Cancel. Building. Unit
Coordinates.
lost. Unit under attack.
Let's rock. Hammerhead here.
Construction complete. Unit promoted.
What's the status? Move.
Building.
Count on us. How's it looking out there? Prepare for
Construction
Yes, sir.
complete.
Securing structure.
New construction
Lay
options.
Squad reporting.
Select target.
Keep them
Building.
checked. Destroy it all.
Building. Construction complete. Construction complete. Building.
Got the
Cannot
guns.
deploy here. Cannot deploy here. Cannot deploy here. Cannot deploy here. Construction complete.
Oh.
Training. Structure sold.
Affirmative.
I got their codes.
Coordinates.
Engineer reporting in.
Building.
Loaders ready. Patch sealed. Harvesting operation. Loaders ready. Moving.
Construction
Moving
complete.
harvesting route.
Our base is under attack. Cannot deploy here. Building captured.
Coming in clear, Commander. What's the status?
Training.
I'm the Juggernaut. MCV unit.
Structure sold. Structure sold.
Squad ready. Clear for
Unit
near.
lost. Unit under attack.
Missile squad ready for combat.
Unit
Keep your weapon
promoted.
ready.
Structure
Hammerhead here.
sold.
Ground support on the way. Missile squad ready for combat. Lay waste. Let's set her up. Missile squad report. Missile squad ready for combat. Keep them checked.